I didn't plan to stay the night. That's the first lie people always tell themselves when they do something stupid. The truth is, I had been thinking about that house for weeks, maybe longer. Ever since I moved to this town, it kept coming up in conversations the way bad memories do, never directly, never with details, just a pause in the middle of a sentence and a quick change of subject. Don't go there, they would say, or it's empty for a reason, or sometimes nothing at all, just a look that told you not to ask again. The house stood at the very edge of town, where the road thinned into cracked asphalt and then into dirt. Trees leaned toward it like they were tired of holding themselves upright. From a distance, it didn't look dramatic. No broken towers, no collapsed roof. Just an old, two-story building with dark windows and paint that had forgotten its own color. I told myself I only wanted to take a look. A few photos, maybe a quick walk inside. Urban exploration, curiosity, boredom, pick one. But I brought a flashlight and a power bank and a jacket, even though the weather app said it wouldn't be cold. So yes, some part of me already knew I wouldn't be leaving before morning. The front door wasn't locked. That should have been the first warning. But abandoned places often aren't. The wood creaked when I pushed it open. Not like a scream, more like a tired sigh. Dust hung in the air, thick enough that my flashlight beam looked solid, like I could almost grab it. The smell was old, not rotten, just closed, like a room that hadn't been breathed in for years. Inside, the house felt bigger than it looked from the outside. A narrow hallway stretched forward, with doors on both sides and a staircase at the end. My footsteps sounded too loud, even though I was trying to be quiet. Every step echoed, and then the echo echoed back, slightly wrong, slightly delayed. I told myself that was just the acoustics. I checked the rooms one by one. A living room with a couch that had collapsed into itself. A dining room with a table still set for people who never came back. Plates, cups, even a candle burned down to a stub. It felt less like a place that had been abandoned and more like a place that had been paused. Upstairs, the air was colder. Not dramatically, but enough that I noticed it. Enough that I zipped up my jacket without really thinking about it. There were 3 bedrooms. 2 were empty except for dust and shadows. The third had a bed, a wardrobe, and a mirror standing in the corner, turned slightly toward the wall. I don't know why that bothered me more than anything else. I decided to stay in the living room. It had more space, fewer corners where something could hide. At least, that's what I told myself. I set my backpack down, sat on the floor, and leaned against the wall. For a while, nothing happened. The house made its normal sounds. Wood adjusting, wind brushing against the outside. Somewhere far away, something tapped gently, like a branch touching glass. My phone said it was 11:47 p.m. I told myself I'd leave at dawn. That's when I heard the first step, not in the room with me, above me. Slow, careful, like someone testing the floor to see if it would betray them. I held my breath and listened. Another step. Then nothing. I waited for my heart to slow down. Told myself it was probably an animal, or the house settling. Old buildings do that, right? They make noise. They shift. They remember they're still standing. I almost convinced myself. Then I heard a door. It wasn't a slam. It was the soft, patient sound of wood moving against wood, like someone opening a door very slowly, trying not to be heard. I stood up. My flashlight shook a little in my hand as I aimed it toward the hallway. The beam cut through the darkness, showing me exactly what I didn't want to see. The door to the dining room was open. I was sure I had closed it. I told myself I must be wrong. Memory is unreliable, especially in places like this, especially when you're tired, or nervous, or both. I walked over and pushed the door shut. The sound echoed through the house, louder than it should have been. "Just the wind," I said out loud, mostly to prove I still could. The house didn't answer. I went back to my spot and sat down again, this time with my back to the wall and my eyes on the hallway. Minutes passed, maybe more. My phone screen felt too bright, too modern for this place, like a foreign object that didn't belong here. At some point, I realized the tapping sound had stopped. The silence that replaced it was worse. Then came the whisper. It wasn't a voice. Not really. More like the idea of a voice. A sound that could have been words if my brain wanted it badly enough. It came from somewhere near the stairs. I stood up again. "Hello?" I said. The word felt wrong in my mouth. No answer. I took a few steps forward. The beam of my flashlight climbed the staircase, one step at a time. Halfway up, it caught something that made my stomach tighten. Footprints. Not dust-free patches. Actual footprints. Bare, like someone had walked there without shoes. They were facing up. I hadn't gone upstairs since I came back down. I didn't follow them. I don't know if that was bravery or fear or just my brain refusing to accept what it was seeing. I backed away instead, slowly until my shoulders touched the wall again. That's when I heard breathing. Not mine. It came from the other side of the wall behind me. Slow, steady, close, too close. I turned around, pressing my ear against the cold surface. The wall was solid. There shouldn't have been any space there. The house didn't have another room on that side. I had seen it from outside. The breathing continued. Then something moved. Not behind the wall. The wall itself shifted. Just a little, like it was stretching, or adjusting, or making space. I stepped back so fast I almost fell. The house creaked, but this time it didn't sound tired. It sounded focused. I don't know how long I stood there, staring at that wall, waiting for it to do something else. Nothing happened. The breathing stopped. The silence came back, heavier than before. I made a decision. I was leaving. I didn't care that it was still dark. I didn't care that it was the middle of the night. I grabbed my backpack and walked toward the front door, trying not to run. Halfway there, I noticed something. The hallway was longer, not by much, maybe a few steps, but enough that it didn't match what I remembered. Enough that the door at the end of it felt farther away than it should have been. I kept walking. The floor creaked under my feet, but the sound didn't echo anymore. It felt like the house was absorbing it. Another door appeared on my left. I was sure it hadn't been there before. I didn't open it. I walked faster. The front door was still there, but the space around it felt wrong. The walls seemed closer. the ceiling lower, like the house was gently, patiently closing in on itself. When I reached for the handle, I heard it again, breathing. This time it was everywhere, in the walls, in the floor, in the ceiling above me. The house wasn't empty. It never had been. I don't remember opening the door. I just remember cold air hitting my face and stumbling forward, out into the early morning light. I didn't stop running until I reached the road. When I finally turned around, the house looked normal again, quiet, still, just an old building at the edge of town. For a moment I wondered if I had imagined everything. Then I noticed the windows. From inside I had watched the night through two large windows in the living room. From the outside there were no windows there at all, just wall, solid, unbroken, like they had never existed. I left town the next day. Sometimes late at night, when everything is quiet, I still think I can hear a house breathing, and I wonder if it's waiting for me to come back inside.